Keith Toll with Paradigm Seals, and thank you for your interest in our company and products. With over 50 years in the mechanical seal industry, I have found that the best solutions come from listening to our customers who need them the most. Our mission is simple: to build reliable, cost-effective mechanical seals and build true partnerships with our customers. Let's get started. In this video today, we're going to be installing Paradigm's A1 single cartridge seal into a small frame ANSI pump. I'll begin by opening the seal and walking you through what comes in the box. Let's get started. We'll begin the installation by disassembling the pump. Once we remove the back pull-out assembly, we can remove the impeller and pump stuffing box. To remove the stuffing box, it may be necessary to remove the gland nuts and back the gland away from the stuffing box. Next, we'll remove the mechanical seal, shaft sleeve, and mechanical seal gland from the pump. Before we proceed with installing the seal, we're going to do some checks on the pump shaft to check the bearings. Before we begin with installation of the seal, we'll want to do a couple checks on the pump to make sure the bearings and shaft are in good condition. To do this, we're going to use a dial indicator. The first check is to mount the dial indicator so the stylus is on the shaft. We'll then rotate the shaft to check for shaft runout or a bent shaft. The second check, leaving the dial indicator in the same position, will be to lift up and down on the pump shaft to check the clearance in the radial bearing and the bearing bore. And finally, we'll want to move the dial indicator and put the stylus either on the end of the shaft or a shoulder on the shaft, and we're going to want to move the shaft in and out to check the clearance on the axial thrust bearing. Next, we will want to check along the surface of the sleeve for any gouges, corrosion, set screw marks, or anything that would cause the seal to hang up on the shaft or the O-ring not to seal. We will also want to check the face of the pump stuffing box to make sure it's free of debris, corrosion, or gouges that would cause the gasket on the seal not to seal as well. To install the seal over the sleeve or shaft, we're going to start with the clamp side first. Push the seal down over the sleeve, past the sleeve O-ring, and back up against the back of the pump. Next, we'll want to orient our flush connection to the position of our piping. We can now reinstall the stuffing box and impeller on the pump. An alternate method to installing the seal, especially on small pumps where the constraints to get to the gland nuts are tight, is to install the seal onto the stuffing box before putting it onto the shaft. Because the seal centers off the shaft through the seal, it's important, if we use this method, that we leave the gland nuts loose so the seal can move and center itself as we put it on the shaft. Once the stuffing box, impeller, and seal are in place, the seal is now centered on the shaft. We can now finish putting on the gland nuts and tighten them down to lock the gland in place to the stuffing box. It's important when you're tightening the gland nuts that you don't over tighten and that you tighten evenly to compress the gasket. You don't want to overstress the gasket, causing it to squeeze out of its location and potentially leak. We can now reinstall the pump back pullout unit into the pump volute. It's important that we don't tighten the screws on the quick clamp until the pump is fully assembled and any impeller adjustments have been made. Any movement of the shaft for impeller adjustments would move the seal, causing it to either rub or to change the spring load and potentially fail. Once the pump has been reassembled, it's now time to complete our impeller adjustments, and then we can finally set the quick clamp on the seal. The quick clamp on the seal is tightened using the click-style torque wrench that was supplied with the seal. It's important that we get adequate torque on each of the cap screws in order to fully lock the seal to the shaft to prevent any slipping. We'll begin tightening the screws by first lightly tightening and seating the two cap screws. Once this is done, we can tighten to the full torque value. To do this, you'll turn the torque wrench until you hear the torque wrench click. We'll do this with both screws to make sure that we've got proper torque on the seal. Once we've locked the quick clamp to the shaft, we'll want to turn the shaft, listening for any rubbing or excessive force required to turn the shaft. There should be resistance, but it should turn smoothly. We're now ready to realign the pump and get ready for startup. Thanks for watching, and thank you for choosing Paradigm Seals as your mechanical seal partner. To learn more about our company and products, please visit us at paradigmseals.com.